All right, I'm so excited. I have Tish with me today, and I met Tish at the Born the Risk book launch, actually. I think we had conversations beforehand, before all that. We just never really tapped into each other and said, "Oh, this is John Emery, this is Tish," And so now we finally had the opportunity where we got to talk to one another for a little bit, and now we get to dive a little bit deeper today, and I get to hear more about your journey and your life. I know it's remarkable. I know you were in the first book of Born to Risk, right? And you shared it in there. And so I'm excited to have you on here. I'm glad we connected and I'm looking forward to this. So Tish, why don't you just start off with like who you are today and then we could just dive into like how you got to where you are.
Sure. I'm Tish McDaniel, and I am so grateful to be alive. The where I am today is one of just pure gratitude, pure servanthood. As a Ziegler licensed coach, I I really draw upon Zig Ziglar's his most famous quote, which is help others get what they want and then you get what you want. And that's not his exact words. And that it's not about me. My One of my bestest friends, she loves the word braggadocious.
Hmm.
And she calls me mama. And she says, Mama, we just can't be braggadocious because you're not thinking of others. You're only thinking of yourself. And that is the biggest lesson that I learned in this life that I chose to live, which I will go into my journey. And that's why it's called I'm saying I chose to live. Sometimes we hit a brick wall, figuratively, and that makes us stop and take a breath. And where I was many, many, many years ago was fast paced, was involved in a lot, lived in Kansas City, Missouri, moved to the Memphis, Tennessee area because of now an ex-husband. And it just that fast paced, self-absorbed, just not really doing what I now feel was God's work. I was just more interested in name dropping and how much more can I do and how much more can there be in life. And then when you have that hiccup and it forces you to look at your life today, I really I think of others first. And I know a lot of folks say, "Oh, you should take time out for yourself first." And I do. I'm selfish in that regard, but I also don't feel like, as my friend said, the braggadocious side of me went away. Totally went away. Years ago, my family would joke that every time I talked about what I did, who I met, who I was around, they would drop something on the floor, like a piece of paper. And it was a joke because it was name dropping. And and so nowadays I I only I don't do that because in the back of my head I'm always thinking about my sisters. Now, do I always not do it? Sometimes I do it just to get their just to get their reaction. But it's also one of the major things that we go through when we have a second chance of life on life. It's not that what I did wrong before, it's what can I do better? And my passion to help the underserved, which can be human or animal, because I do a lot of animal rescue, And so my life now, when you look at where I was 35, 40 years ago, you would swear I was a different person. And that takes a lot of courage to keep going when you don't think that you are ever going to be that person that you were. And let me take you back to July 13th, 1993. I was in my bright red Carmen Ghia. A lot of folks don't know what a Carmen Ghia is, but I always wanted to own a Porsche. And the Carmen Ghia was, in my mind, sort of kind of looked like a Porsche. And it needed work, and I loved mechanics working on the vehicle. And so I had installed an aftermarket seatbelt and had done a lot of other work to it. And on a Carmen Ghia, the trunk is in the trunk is in the front and the motor is in the back. And so not the best vehicle to be in when you have an offset head-on collision. And but what's so interesting about that is I still to this day don't remember the accident. And it was at an intersection in Memphis, Tennessee, Quince and Ridgeway. And the other thing that's just it's tough for me to talk about is, why don't I remember the accident? I saw, after the accident, I saw psychologists and tried to work through all of the feelings of what happened and to move beyond that. But the one thing that I keep going back to is, and I still have it, the police report. And so the gentleman that hit me did not see me. The sun was in his eyes. And the police report showed another gentleman, and it was no name, just an eyewitness, that held me in the street and applied a towel to my head so I would not bleed to death before the ambulance came. And so when you look at, I had a second chance on life because I saw my life flash before me. I saw the bright white light. I had to make a choice. I had to make a choice. Do I go into the light or do I stay? And I heard, basically, it's not time for you to go, you need to stay. And so when you go through those traumatic, just gut-wrenching feelings, and I keep thinking, and let's see, it's been 11,000, I gotta count, 11,787 days since that day. And every single day, I give praise and thanks to that gentleman. He did not want to be identified on the police report. And it says right on the police report, would not identify himself, because he said, I would hope someone would do this for my daughter, for my wife, for my son, for my grandchild. And I'm not taking the glory. And every day I have thanked that unidentified person, and also it has guided me. And I've done a lot of things in my lifetime since then, 11,787 days, without taking credit, without anyone knowing that I did anything. Because I think about that day, that guy could have been written up as a hero, because from what I'm told, there were TV crews there because it was a pretty bad wreck. No, he just wanted to make sure I was okay. And so, wow, that is such a guiding force in your life. And you go out and you do things and not tell people. And in fact, I've had to tell some of the people that I've done things for, you can't tell anyone. And if you do, this redhead is going to hunt you down. Because it's not about, I don't want people, I don't want people to know, because it's between me and God. And if you are out there doing things just to get the recognition from a, I'll use her word again, braggadocious perspective, that's just the wrong perspective, the absolute wrong one.
Wow. What a story, huh?
Oh, and you would think 30 some years, you would think I would not just break down like I do, but it's a reminder that you do have a choice every
Mhm.
day of your life. You don't have to have a near fatal car wreck to make a choice that you're going to stay and live rather than go to the light. You can make choices, and that takes courage.
That's right. And even that man made a choice.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that took a lot of courage. Yeah, I don't know who that person was. And maybe they didn't know exactly what they were doing was correct, but they made an attempt, right? And it worked. So yeah. So what happened like after that? Like, so I mean, like you had to recuperate and heal and all that stuff. So what was that kind of like?
Ooh, no job, no car, no family. Uh, was told I would be in a wheelchair. I had severe damage to my legs, no broken bones. And what's uh, what's interesting, two different situations. When when I got out of the Elvis Presley Trauma Center, I didn't have keys to my apartment. And so my friend, she took me by the, what would that be? The wrecking place, whatever it's called, so that I could get my keys from them. They had my car towed to their yard. And so my friend went in to get the keys because I was in no shape to walk, and I had on a hospital gown, another hospital gown as a jacket. Um, I was wearing a vintage scarf tie and pearl earrings the day of the wreck. And I had one pearl earring on because that's what they found at the side of the wreck. And I had my scarf on and then my hospital gowns. And I happened to see my car through the fence. So I wobbled and really struggled to get to my car, and I sat inside it. And there's my keys. And as I'm sitting there, you, there is no sense of time. And I'm just sitting there going, wow. And I'm looking at the steering wheel because my face hit the steering wheel. And I did not have my contacts in, luckily. I had glasses on, and looking at that wheel, I still picture it. It's metal and it's no cushion or anything. And my face was just really swollen. And because I was thrown from the car, my aftermarket shoulder harness, it looked like I had been strangled. I had, and going into Walgreens to get because my friend wouldn't go in. She was busy on the phone, and going in dressed the way I was, people were looking at me like, is she one of these folks that escaped the psychiatric ward still in her gown? And it I just, when you do that, and I thought to myself, growing up, I wouldn't even go out in public without makeup on. I was that self-conscious, and here I am in hospital gowns. My head was full of blood. And so the other situation, because of the recuperation, I got really frustrated with the doctors because I felt that I needed to be doing things differently because I did not want to be in a wheelchair. I did not want to be constricted to what I could do because I was very active. I was an athlete. I was a runner. And so I basically fired everyone and hired a personal trainer that had certification through one of the local medical facilities. And I was leaving the gym, or the workout facility where they had the trainers, and I ran into a friend, and she just screamed bloody murder because she thought I had died in the wreck. That's what she had heard. And what's interesting, I never spoke to her again after that day. She would not return phone calls, and I just thought, wow, what's the dear Lord telling me about this person that she thought I died in the wreck, and here she is seeing me, but not excited, just this look of horror that, oh my God, I thought I heard that you had died. Well, I'm not dead, as you can see. Give me a hug, say, I'm so glad you're alive. No, she turns around and walks off.
Yeah.
So you just kind of go, okay, maybe that's not the kind of friend I thought she was before the wreck. And the pain, I'm allergic to any and all pain medicine. So I could not take any pain medicine. And the pain was atrocious. I was able, in Memphis, I was able to work with it was called squash blossom. And so the natural herbal teas and the oils, like what are they called? The essential oils. That was the only thing that that kept me going. Now, there were nights that I literally screamed and cried myself to sleep. I just hurt so bad. And going up steps, I would have to scoot up them on my butt because I could not literally walk if there were no railings. If there were railings, it was like climbing, pulling me up. It took me many, many years to be able to walk up a flight of stairs without holding on. I drove as you know, the Karmann Ghia. So when I was out looking for a vehicle to purchase, I bought a convertible Chrysler LeBaron. And the reason why I bought the convertible, but I'm sure you can figure this out, when I got claustrophobic thinking about the wreck, not remembering the wreck per se, but thinking about what happened, I could drop the top on the vehicle and feel free, feel just a sense of relief. Let's see, it took probably, and I still do to this day, 30 some years later, I screamed all the time riding as a passenger in a vehicle, driving, because you come up to a stoplight or stop sign and the person behind you is zooming up behind you, or you're wanting to make sure everybody's out of the intersection before you go and cars are honking at you. And because of the head injury and the fact that I was thrown out and had a 6-inch gash on my head, the psychiatrist that they had talked to me said, you need to get back in the vehicle immediately. because you never will if you don't. And I believe that, because as nervous and just the sheer anxiety of being in a car was overwhelming. Getting behind the wheel the first time, if I didn't have that convertible, that would I probably would not have driven. But you make amends. You figure out how to move. I stopped the physical therapy on my hand because all I was doing was putting my hand in hot sand, and then the massaging, and it's my right hand. And I'm predominantly left-handed. So it's good that I am, because I could hardly use my right hand for years afterwards. And so I stopped doing the physical therapy and bought one of those tension release and also the stress balls. And I just basically just made this pact that if I do something today, I need to double it tomorrow. And if I can't double it, then do 1.5 rather than doubling. And it's tough, because I could not, and I don't want to sound like I'm down on doctors. They would not believe me when I said, I can't take the pain medicine. Well, how are you going to deal with the pain? I will scream. I will sing. I will do whatever. I can't. It was like trying to convince the doctors that I could not take it. It's I said, you can go to past medical records and you will see that I can't take pain medicine. And what's interesting, because I have a hematoma on the right side of my face, which the right side of my face is still numb. And I always joke, if you're going to get angry and slap me, at least slap over here so I don't feel
Now we all know, right?
so I don't feel it.
Yeah.
And I would use the what is it? The numbing drops that babies when they're teething.
Yeah.
I would use that on my gums, because the pain, while I couldn't feel it, the pain on this side of my face because of hitting the steering wheel, and that really helped. That I would buy lots of bottles of that, whatever it's called, the numbing gel.
Yeah.
And the physical therapy, I went through a lot of personal trainers, because I didn't want what everybody wanted. I needed what was best for me in my recovery. And what's interesting, the two best trainers that I had were male redheads.
Interesting.
Yes, very interesting. And both of them said that when you start out doing your reps, you start out really strong and then you start to kind of fade. And they would literally have to tell me to stop, because I would start out slow and then just boom, go up what is that, the explosion. And they would literally have to say, no, Tish, we're done with the reps. And it's like, no, but you don't understand. I've got to do this. It was June the 16th of 1996 at the workout facility, because I did a lot of floor exercises, because both of the trainers that I had, they didn't believe in a lot of the machines, because I needed to build body strength and core strength. And I would not allow them to help me if I needed to get up off the floor or I needed to maybe go walk over and get something else. And so on June 16th, 1996, we were doing floor exercises and I would always have to crawl. Now, I can't feel my knees and I can't feel my left leg. So it was quite a sight seeing me crawl.
I bet.
And I would have to pull myself up.
Mhm.
Well, on June 16th, 1996, in the middle of the workout floor, I stood up and my trainer screamed and said, "Do you realize what you just did?" So I'm looking around because people are clapping and screaming and yay. And I said, "No, what did I do?" And he said, "You got up on your own. You didn't have to crawl anywhere to pull yourself up." And that day really made me focus on me. I didn't even know I did that, but yet that was what I was working for. So I just had to tell you that me, myself, and I talk. It's like, hey, self, you need to
Mhm.
pay attention because this was monumental. And I have a picture of it. And why do we get that way, that we are so out of focus with what we need and who we are? And that little standing up, most people that I tell the story, they kind of laugh. It's like, no, that was huge. That took me from 19 the July 13th, 1993 to June 16th of 2016. I think I said 1996, 2016, to be able to do that.
Wow.
So you can make fun of me all you want, but that mind over body,
Mhm.
and I talk about this a lot. And I think it was Henry Ford said, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't.
All right.
And that, wow. And you have to have a good support group. I didn't have anyone. I had no one. And because of that, those first, oh, I would say that first 90 days, you no car, no job,
Yeah.
know how I was going to pay rent. But then I meet the love of my life just because of a blind date
Through all that.
through all that.
Yeah.
And the car wreck, so July 13 of 93, I was in process of moving to LA. I was into acting and modeling and had a bit part in a TV series. I had done so much. So keeping me here, I met I met the my soul mate. 4 months later, we were married, and here we are 30 some years later, still married. We don't, I rarely celebrate any holiday,
Mm.
and we don't celebrate our anniversary because of almost dying. I celebrate every day. And I have friends that get newer friends that don't understand why don't you celebrate your anniversary? And I said, because if this is someone that you love dearly and you only celebrate them once a year because it's the day of your marriage, shame on you.
I love it. That's a good way.
Shame on you.
Hmm. Yeah. So I mean, all good things, right? I mean, I'm sorry, all bad things, and then lead to stuff that's good. You just don't see it at the time. Yeah. So it's amazing how you can look back and navigate through what you experienced to see what actually became of you and your life expanding.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, what a moving story. And I know you're not finished or anything. I'm sure it could keep going. And but I really wanted to kind of so in the beginning you kind of mentioned how you serve others first, right? And it comes back and it helps you in the end too. Right. So how did you shift into something like that?
It was not easy. It was not easy. I owe a lot of the credit to an employee at a company where I got a job, and this woman, she calls me mama and I call her baby girl. We are bestest friends. And she has beat cancer 4 times. She was given less than a 5% chance of living the second round of cancer. And when you come in contact with individuals that, my God, what she went through was nothing what I was going through. And she's not was, she's happy. She does things for people. She is, and I call it the art of observation. She can look at something and go, baby, I know what's going on. And when you are surrounded by individuals like that, you that either makes you or breaks you.
Yeah.
And that made me. A lot of a lot of times I think about that. What if I didn't have that kind of influence? Because
Mhm.
remember, I was a conceited, I don't want to swear, a conceited person. I was a name dropper. I only did things so that I could brag about them. And here I am with someone who is so grateful to be alive, which I was grateful to be alive, but not in the sense of the servanthood. How can I serve you? What can I do to help you? And and there's a lot of people out there like that. I've met a lot of folks since then. And I truly believe, I think we are afraid to let people know that, because a lot of times you might get taken advantage of. And we all have.
That's very true. Yep. So you got to kind of know your limitations.
But I
Yeah.
go back to Mother Teresa, and there's numerous things that she said, but I go back to, it doesn't, basically the gist of it doesn't matter. Be kind
Mm.
anyway. Do it anyway. Because that, in the end, that doesn't define you. What you did as a result or a comeback is what defines you.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of, for me lately has been like, your setback is your comeback is what I've been hearing a lot lately. And that's
Wow.
exactly what you're saying.
Write that one down.
Ah.
That,
Um, but yeah, it's so true, right? And you just don't feel it. You don't know how it's going to happen yet. You just come across the right people, you hear the right things, and you just have to carry it through.
Mhm.
And you said that plenty of times. That, what a testimony right here. So I appreciate everything you just shared with us. And like I said, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Um, but Tish, how does somebody reach out to you and you know get help from whatever you can do to serve them?
They can email me at info@choosetowineveryday.com.
And what would you do for somebody when they reach out to you?
Since I am a licensed Ziegler coach, be prepared for the Ziegler isms, Ziegler books, Ziegler anything and everything. Also, be prepared to talk, be prepared to have someone listen to you talk. I always think about Winnie the Pooh when Eeyore was so sad, and Winnie the Pooh and Piglet came out and sat on each side of Eeyore and just sat there because Eeyore just needed to know somebody was there.
Hmm.
And that a lot of times just knowing that you could call someone at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I've had friends do that, call just to see if I would answer.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Uh,
Just
I,
test it out.
yeah, I'm gonna get you back.
That's funny. That's cool. That's good. Yeah, what a great way for you to help somebody out though, right? And we all need to know that we're not alone, no matter what we're going through. And that's basically why I started the podcast and just understand how people navigate through their journeys. So one question I ask everybody at the end is, what are three key things you've learned and used along your journey?
I have learned not to be afraid. Doesn't mean I'm not afraid. I have learned not to be afraid. And I have learned to believe in myself. I had to because I couldn't trust what a lot of others were saying. And the third thing is, and and this is crazy. The third thing I've learned is laughter and having fun. The laughter and the fun have to go hand in hand.
Yeah, I agree with that. Life is tough sometimes, and we could always disappoint ourselves. And just like you shared of, you reached that milestone where you're able to stand up and walk again, and you didn't celebrate that. Like, you know what I mean? And you should have had a good time and enjoyed that. But you missed it, right? Somebody had to point it out to you. And so, we have to just enjoy life and laugh as we go along the way, even through the hard times, and just look at it as a learning lesson.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, some great encouraging words, and I appreciate sharing that stuff with us. And Tish, I'm excited to have you in the book coming up. I can't wait for that with a whole bunch of other guests I've had so far, and I'm excited for that. And you can add on to whatever you would like to in that book to share more. So thank you.
Well, thank you for what you do. You are truly a servant of God.
Yeah, I
Uh,
appreciate that.
with what you do and how you're helping folks and just allowing a space, a safe space to chat and talk. That's huge.
No,
So
I appreciate that. Yeah, and I enjoy hearing what you and everybody else has to say, and that's what needs to happen.
mhm.
And just get out and hopefully it reaches that one person at the right time. That's what it's all about.
Yep.
So,
Thank you so much.
oh, you're welcome. Thank you.